Hello Shaman friends, I'm James, and in this video I'm going over some of the macros I use as a Shaman player. Whether you're an older or newer Shaman player, you may find yourself struggling with keybinds, so the macros here are intended to either help your keybind estate or improve your rotational quality of life. This video is catered to my playstyle and preferences, and you can modify the macros however you see fit. If you'd like to skip this whole video, I have a Google Doc link in the description below for you to copy and paste. I have two talent-specific macros, one for Earth Shield with Elemental Orbit, and one for Thunderstorm with Traveling Storms. In this Earth Shield macro, if you have Elemental Orbit talented, this macro will cast Earth Shield on a friendly mouse-over target. If Elemental Orbit is not talented, or you have no friendly mouse-over target, this macro will cast Earth Shield on yourself. You can use this in all Shaman specs, so especially if you're an Elemental or Enhancement player, it'll be helpful to think about how you can use Earth Shield to support your fellow party members when you have Elemental Orbit talented. In this Thunderstorm macro, this macro will follow similar logic with the Traveling Storms talent. If Traveling Storms is talented, this macro will cast Thunderstorm if you have a friendly mouseover or target. If not, then the macro will cast Thunderstorm on yourself. This is a macro that simply adds mouseover functionality with Traveling Storms. However, if you don't have Traveling Storms talented, then Thunderstorm and Thundershock will continue to function as is. I have what I will call Cross-Spec Macros. These macros are intended to minimize creating multiple macros by using spec-specific conditionals for spec-specific abilities. This is an Earthquake and Healing Rain macro. In Elemental, this macro will cast Earthquake at my cursor. In Restoration, Healing Rain at my cursor. This avoids creating two separate macros in my macro library. Same goes for this macro with Liquid Magma Totem, Earth and Wall Totem, and Ancestral Protection Totem. In Elemental, this macro will cast Liquid Magma Totem at my cursor. In Restoration, Earth and Wall Totem at my cursor, or Ancestral Protection Totem, whichever is talented. Please note in the conditionals here, I don't have a cursor condition for APT because I prefer to place APT manual when I heal. Add the cursor condition if you wish. To demonstrate swapping from Elemental to Resto here, you'll see Earthquake will change to Healing Rain, and Liquid Magma Totem will change to Earth and Wall Totem. For spec-specific macros, I have two macro options here for the Primal Elementalist active abilities, Meteor and Tempest. I want to preface that since the War Within pre-patch, Meteor and Tempest are not auto-cast. However, there can sometimes still be benefits to pressing these abilities manually, such as during a boss burst phase or to focus more damage on a priority target. This first macro here is a 2-button press macro. The first button will press Fire or Storm Elemental, and the second button press will cast Meteor or Tempest. This macro here is an alternative macro to put Meteor or Tempest on a separate button, and assumes you have Primal Elementalist talented. However, once again, these abilities are now auto-cast, but as I mentioned, there are some scenarios where you may still want to consider casting these manually. The next few macros here are cast sequence macros for your hour-long maintenance buffs. For Elemental, Lightning Shield, Flame Tongue Weapon, and Thunderstrike Ward. The reset equal 3 condition exists, so if Thunderstrike Ward is not talented, the macro will cycle back to Lightning Shield. Lightning Shield, Flame Tongue Weapon, Thunderstrike Ward. Remove Thunderstrike Ward as you see fit. For Enhancement, Lightning Shield, Flame Tongue Weapon, and Wind Fury Weapon, and for Restoration, Water Shield, and Earth Living Weapon. Note that Sky Fury is intentionally excluded from these cast sequence macros. When you have a raid member inevitably die and is resurrected mid-fight, you don't want to cycle through a cast sequence macro to refresh Sky Fury for them. For me, Sky Fury remains an independent button. I also use a set of Harm and Help macros. These macros will cast a damaging ability at enemy targets and cast a healing ability at friendly targets. This can help free some of your keybind estate, especially useful Restoration, where you frequently rotate between enemy and friendly targets. Mousing over enemy targets here, you can see how the macros swap abilities. For all Shaman specs, I use this Dispel macro here that pairs Cleanse Spirit and Purge. In Restoration, I have macros that pair Flame Shock and Riptide, Lava Burst and Healing Wave, Lightning Bolt and Unleash Life, and Chain Lightning and Chain Heal. I have one Dead and Nodead macro here, and this is strictly for Ancestral Spirit and Healing Surge. When you mouse over or target a friendly dead player with this macro will cast Ancestral Spirit. When you mouse over or target a friendly living player, this macro will cast Healing Surge. This is inspired by other specs that use abilities on dead and living targets, such as Paladin's Blessing of Sacrifice and Intercession, or Resto Druid's Iron Bark and Rebirth. Last but not least, we have cursor macros. I use cursor macros for Capacitor Totem, Earthbind Totem, Windrush Totem, and Farsight. Note that for Earthbind Totem, The macro will update to Earthgrab Totem when it's talented, so you do not require a separate macro for Earthgrab Totem. Once again, these are the macros that cater to my playstyle and preferences, and you can modify however you see fit. I hope this is a helpful resource to you that inspires your macro writing skills for your Shaman or any other class you play. If you have any questions or feedback, please feel welcome to reach out to me on Twitch, Twitter, or the comments below. I'm also a moderator on the Earthshrine Shaman Discord and a contributor to the Storm, Earth, and Lava website. Thanks for watching!